Hi, thanks for checking out R&B reviews. I did my list for what I thought was the best movies of 2017, and now I'm going to do a top 5 combo list of the movies that I thought were disappointing and truly the worst of that year. Now, unlike other YouTube reviewers, I wasn't always able to see every movie that came out, which is one reason why I'm doing this combination list instead of just doing the worst movies. So here is how the list is going to work. 5, 4, and 3 are the movies that I was disappointed in, and 2, 1 are what I consider to be the worst. So here's what was interesting about when I was putting my list together. Something I noticed was that a lot of these movies have good concepts behind them, but poor execution. So let's begin. Number 5, the first movie that disappointed me this year was American Assassin. This was the movie about 23-year-old Mitch who lost his girlfriend to a terrorist attack, and seeking revenge, he's enlisted as a black op recruit to be trained by Stan, played by Michael Keaton. Now, the trailers made this film look like it would be exciting, but it ended up being an average movie. Keaton was good, and I liked the beginning because I didn't know what direction it would go in, but I thought the rest of the movie to be very bland, and the action scenes were just okay, not exciting, and the acting was fine. It was acceptable. There was some unintentionally funny dialogue, so the movie didn't quite wow me as much as I wanted it to. Number 4, the next movie that disappointed me was The Dark Tower, which was based on Stephen King's popular series of books that had been in development hell for years. I remember several years ago, Ron Howard wanted to make the series at Universal, but ended up getting not picked up because they thought it would have been too expensive, because I believe we were still in a recession at that time. But this Dark Tower movie, it felt like it was trying to be all kinds of different things, all different kinds of genres. Like, for example, you get the kid being bullied and he's having dreams about this evil being played by Matthew McConaughey, and then you get a gunslinger played by Idris Elba. And then you get some horror, and then you get some fish out of water comedy. And I thought the film was rushed, and I felt like there was elements that really didn't get developed. It runs at 95 minutes, and I thought it could have benefited from being longer. The dialogue I thought to be stilted. Acting-wise, I thought Matthew McConaughey, I thought he was terrific as I believe his name's Walter, the villain in the movie. Idris Elba was okay as Roland the Gunslinger. The movie looks good, like the photography, and there were some good concepts behind it, but the execution, like I said, was a bit poor here. Number 3. The third movie that disappointed me this year was Valerian in the City of a Thousand Planets, which was the science fiction movie from director Luc Besson. This was the movie, now for those of you that regularly watch the channel, this was the movie that I was really looking forward to this past summer. I thought the visuals that I saw in the trailer were fantastic, and I was looking forward to it, and I had never heard of Valerian and Laureline, the graphic novel or the comic book or what have you. So after doing some research on the series that the movie was based off of, I thought that the film might make some very relevant political things to say, and it did. But in the end, I felt like the plot was rushed as it was trying to incorporate so much into it that you didn't get to know or understand the world. Even when a character tries to explain things, it gets bogged down and confusing. The action scenes were not thrilling. Acting with me was very hit and miss with me. I really liked Dane DeHaan as the ladies' man like Valerian, and I liked Cara Delevingne as Valerian's intelligent partner at first, especially when they're throwing snappy, sarcastic exchanges at each other, but during chases that were going on when she's trying to talk to Valerian, she just seemed so monotone and dry. I liked the themes that the movie was trying to convey about the aftermath of war and love, but I felt like I didn't care about the lead characters or about the story as much as I wanted to. Alright, now get ready. Here are the 2 movies that I think were the worst of the year. Number 2, The Circle. This movie starred Emma Watson as May, who gets hired at a tech company whose founder and CEO, played by Tom Hanks, wants her to try out a new camera that allows people to watch and comment on her daily activities. Now, I was really looking forward to the movie because it deals with the themes of lack of privacy, social media, and how once you share your life on the internet, it dramatically changes not only yourself, but your friends and family. But I was really let down by the final product. The movie had so much potential, and it was so unengaging. The cast, with the exception of the charismatic Tom Hanks, was bland. I mean, Emma Watson and John Boyega, who was fresh off of the Star Wars Force Awakens movie, he plays an employee who's critical of the company. And of course we had Karen Gillan as Watson's friend. To me, the characters felt more like plot points rather than developed personalities. The dialogue was dull, and for a movie talking about being watched and social media obsession and being analyzed, there was no sense of paranoia or suspense that I think was needed. I like the concept, like I said, the social commentary and the themes behind this movie, but the execution by James Pondold, and who also wrote the adaptation, it's based off a book, he wrote the script as well, it just made The Circle a really terrible movie. Alright, so what was the worst movie of 2017? My pick is Geostorm, a disaster film that ended up being a complete disaster as well. It starred Gerard Butler as a scientist who is called in when a network of satellites that are supposed to control the global climate starts to attack Earth. It was directed by Dean Devlin, who produced similar pictures like Independence Day and the 1997 Godzilla movie. This is his first time directing a theatrical feature. On the technical side, Geostorm was well made. Visually, it looked good. The camera work was good. CGI was good. The cast did what they could to give life to the bland dialogue that was given to them. Oftentimes, the dialogue sounded like heavy-handed, unnatural speeches, like you hear Gerard Butler talking about the government, and then you hear speeches about working together. They sounded more like mouthpieces. The characters they played, even the characters were bland and I thought were very one-dimensional as well. And because I didn't feel connected or involved at all, now I know this is not I know it's a fantasy film and it's not meant to be realistic, but characters need to communicate in a way that the audience can relate to in order for it to work, and I felt like they didn't do that here. But Geostorm, like I said in my original review, I just sat there and I felt like it just went in and out of my head, and I found the film to be pretty forgettable. Alright, so that's my list, so here we go. My top my 3 disappointed movies were American Assassin, The Dark Tower, and Valerian in the City of a Thousand Planets. The 2 movies that I thought were the worst of the year were The Circle and Geostorm. Alright, well that's my list. Go ahead and comment about it if you'd like.